Hello, good afternoon, good morning. Today I will be presenting to you my reflection on about the subject course server administration. First off, what is server administration? Server administrator or admin has the overall control of a server. This is usually in the context of a business organization where a server administrator oversees the performance and condition of multiple servers in a business organization. Or it can be in the context of a single person running a game server. So I'll keep it short. My reflection on this subject is we started off installing VirtualBox because the current situation right now, as we have a pandemic, we need to have two computers to configure it. We need the server, and we also need the client PC or the Windows 10. So in order to do that in a remote way, we installed VirtualBox, and we first off downloaded. Once we installed the VirtualBox, we downloaded the Windows Server 2016 version, and we have learned how to install a virtual machine using VirtualBox and how to integrate and maximize the settings if you want to have a virtual Windows server in your virtual machine. Also, the network settings to have an IP address and assign dynamic IP to the virtual machines. So, having a virtual machine can also help you if you just have one PC. So that was our first activity. And on our second activity, we have learned how to install Windows Server 2016 on VirtualBox, and having the right settings can be crucial for setting up your server, just like when choosing a Windows Server experience, which is way better than the standard one. Having a GUI can be easier to configure for other developers to access the server. So on our part, it took us 1 hour because we chose to we we chose the standard evaluation instead of desktop experience. So we had to install it twice because on our first installation we installed the one without the GUI. But on our second attempt on installation, it is already a smooth process. So aside from that, we really don't have error in installing the server. And on our next activity is that we downloaded and installed the Windows Windows 10. So once we downloaded the Windows 10, since me and my partner are already we already know how to install Windows 10, it was just a smooth process for us, and we just turned off the security options so that we can fully manipulate the Windows without any security reasons. So next is the directory services. So once we've connected the Windows and the server, we set up the directory services. So what is directory services? It is a way to store, manage, and access information about many different network objects. So directory services plays an important role in integrating different NOS or network operating system into one system that can be centrally administered and accessed. So basically, it's just brain for our server, and this is in the directory services is how we set up our servers. So for example, we installed DHCP for our server. We want to have a DHCP. We just activate it on and install it on our Active Directory domain services configuration. So Overall, directory services plays an important role in administering and managing networks. So, on our next activity is that we have oh we have set up a domain for our Windows server, which is the ccs.uic.edu.ph, and we've also added users for our domain, which is called C Balaman and E Emberda. And we've also added our own names, R Patlawnag and G Alpas. So it is very easy for us to configure it. Just just add it in the Windows Active Directory. So we really don't have any concerns about this activity. So next is downloading and installing RSAT. Now here, this is a very important activity for us because we can create organizational unit and create user account on the certain organization unit. So also we can add an option to have a time restriction log on the on a specific user account. So once we have downloaded and installed RSAT, it was a very long process for us because my hardware, which is the hard drive, is currently taking a toll at this moment because installing RSAT took a lot of time compared to other students when I was installing it. So it took me about 2 hours to install, and when when I was about to create an organization unit, so it was just simple because we just followed the guide video that our teacher gave us. So next activity is to we perform the HCP scope and reservation. So what we did in the HCP scope is that we will we turned our network to DHCP. Since my Active Directory doesn't have any DHCP yet and DNS, so we installed it first before making this activity, and we added a scope for our DHCP server, which is the 10.10.10.50. So that is our IP for our DHCP scope that we released on the reserve server so that it can be activated. And we also change our network to a DHCP so that it can be activated. So as we can see on the type, so if we once activated it, it can be DHCP because we already configured it on the network. So next is the DHCP reservation. So this is like the part two of scope. So that's about it for this activity. And to in order to check if we've already had the DHCP reservation, you just have to go in the CMD and type in ipconfig/all and ipconfig/release and ipconfig/renew. So after that, you have to type in ipconfig/all again and check if the IP address has changed to 10.10.10.50. So that's it. And next is the create a DNS host. So creating a DNS host was very confusing for us, for the pair, because we were having technical difficulties on accessing Windows Server and the Windows 10. But once we've opened the Windows Server and remove all the lags, we we've we've accessed the DNS on the active Windows directory and then configured the lookup zones. And once we've located the our Windows host that I mean Windows data that has the address 10.10.10.50. As you've noticed, we've used that address before on the DHCP reservation. So we will use it again and we will try to remove it and renew it again on the Windows 10 CMD and refresh it, so if we will check if the DNS will create it again. So we have configured the what we did to fix this is that we will configure the Ethernet, so which is the network, and we've unchecked the register disconnection address in DNS. So that basically solved all our problems and did it again. So we've pinged it and it works. So next is to create a DNS alias. So when creating the DNS alias, we have a very big problem in this part because we can't access some parts of the server because it is asking for higher elevation and we can't access it. We don't know have any way to access it, so we just skip some part on this activity. So next is the group policy management console. So here is this for me. This is my favorite activity because it is relatively easy and just you just have to manipulate and navigate to create a policy management console. So once we've installed it, um, we create a specific policy, just like blocking, making the users not access the Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge on the Windows 10. So we've once we've created it, created we've linked the group policy to a certain organizational unit or whatever group you've like to link it to. So once you've linked it, um, if you check on the Windows 10, it, once you've checked it on the Windows 10 VirtualBox and try to access Microsoft Edge and try and see that it will not be accessed, so it is already working and you just have to update it on the CMD for it to force to work. And lastly, which is to rename, unlink, and delete a GPO. This is the most easiest activity that we've had for this session because all we had to do is right click a certain GPO, which is the Group Policy Management Console, and rename it, unlink it, and also delete it. So that's all for what I have learned in this course, which is the system administration. And thank you for watching.